It's WG bringing you SNB, and it does take quite a while to accumulate a team of 5 full SSRs, so I wanted to take the opportunity to make a video covering the most important SRs that are actually going to be useful to you, and also a bit of the reasons why. So let's start off with the very first one and the most obvious one. Outside of the purple rare healer, which you shouldn't be using, Aiona is going to be incredibly important until you at minimum have another dedicated healer, or preferably even two. So she's pretty straightforward, but she does get increased healing when healing units that are less than full HP. When the battle begins, the allied hero in front of them. So you usually want to put a tank in front of her. So you place her down, you put a tank in front of her to make sure that when that tank drops below 60, they get that massive HP bonus, because as soon as your front line dies, that is when the rest also falls apart. And then you have the ultimate, which is really cheap at 3, and it also is a new moon. So you have the ability to heal allies in range for 7.5% max HP. That obviously also goes up. If you don't yet have an Edina or an Stereoid Aiona, then she is absolutely perfectly fine to use. She's incredibly good. And if you want to upgrade something, upgrade the special and the ultimate if you're looking for more healing, because on a healer you do not need the basic attacks. So next to the healer, let's close the front court selection, and that is Jestel. Jestel is an incredibly good tank. If you haven't yet pulled a tank and you're struggling in especially like these survive stages, or in making sure that the enemies don't just break through your formation like it's paper, using Jestel can be more effective than using a fighter SSR. So upon entering the battlefield, you gain physical damage down minor, and it lasts indefinitely. So furthermore, you then also have the ability to give yourself a shield based on physical defense. So she has permanent damage reducing effects from physical damage taken. So if enemies specifically deal physical damage, she'll be even tankier. Then you also have the ability to, after every 4 basic attacks, gain a shield based on physical defense. And then to finish it all off, you can also taunt. So how do you make the most use of her? Obviously you want to increase the one that gives you shields. Skip out on the damage, increase the ability that gives you shields. And if you want to increase the ability, just increase the ability that gives you shield. The ultimate you don't need to increase, so it's just the special you focus on. And also at some point you can always just use a reset currency to reset them, so it's not as big of a problem as you might think. Now for gear, there's one piece in particular that you really want to upgrade on her, and that is this ring right here, because you've seen how everything is based on defense. So upgrading the physical defense and upgrading the magical defense respectively does increase the amount of shield she gains. So if she's struggling to survive, you can work on upgrading these two pieces until you pull yourself another tank. Next up, let's talk about Noah. He's the main character. Yes, you always hear about Transcendent Noah, but Noah really isn't all that bad. If you're looking for a front line that has decent synergy and has decent sustain, running a Noah as well as a Jestel can keep you safe for quite a while because of this talent right here. When dealing damage to an enemy, restores HP equal to 20% of the damage dealt. Furthermore, he also attacks twice. This one not as important, and then here you can deal more damage to enemies in a cone over 5 hits. So it is when dealing damage, which means if you wanted to make him stronger, every single talent works, because every talent you upgrade leads into the Blood Feast passive. And if at this point you still want to use Noah, I don't know if you do, but you could be giving him the Eye of Truth, which would increase his basic attack. But the Philosopher's Stone obviously works. If he crits, he heals himself for more. So Noah is also a prime choice for a frontline unit if you haven't yet finished them off. Now on the note of backline units, there are so many AoE units in this game, but if you haven't yet pulled a good source of AoE damage, relying on Empousa might very well save you, and that is because you have a permanent 20% crit rate. If you combine that together with the with the Philosopher's Stone, all of a sudden you're already looking at a 30% crit rate. And then you have a decently powerful basic attack, this that activates after every 5 basic attacks, and this ultimate which actually does multiply the damage here by 5 because you cast it every second for 5 seconds. So upgrade priority would probably have to be the ultimate, then the special. The basic attack always tends to be a bit on the weaker side. So now that we've got 3 out of the way, there isn't many left, but there is still some interesting surprises, like for example Clive JR. Clive JR is someone you could easily underestimate, and that is, as long as you have a Silver Shadow Chronometer, you can equip it on him to increase the healing he gets. And why would that even be relevant? That is because my boy summons a werewolf every 12 seconds, while he also would gain 10% max HP healed every 10 seconds, right? So he has a timer that is perfectly close to it, and these werewolves are perfect to distract enemies. So you could, for example, run a Jestel, a Noah, and a Clive, and then like 2 different SSRs or something, to then work on distracting the enemies. And also here, all allied werewolf units gain physical damage up minor, so his summons deal 15% more damage. And you can also make sure, like, he can also target a specific unit, right? And you see this? If he attacks and marks a target, and that target dies, they also become a werewolf. As well as here, he summons 2 more werewolves to join. So he's there as like a distraction. He distracts the enemies from your team. He makes sure that your backline stays safe, and he also takes some pressure off of your tanks. And then another werewolf. This time the big boy, Clive Blade of Garnelon. So his basic talent is already stronger than what a Noah is. So just by playing Arena, you can unlock this guy right here who deals 30% lifesteal. Yes, he is not a fighter, he's an assassin, so you want to send him into the enemy backline, and then he's going to be able to most likely come out successfully out of a potential 1v1. This rushing into battle, you want to make sure it goes on healers, it goes on mages, it goes on anything annoying. And then with the final ultimate, you can rush again. Like for example, if you killed the first target and you don't like who is he attacking, you could rush to the second one, or you could rush into the same target, giving you physical damage up increase. And if I'm not wrong, if you have Clive and Clive JR in a team, Clive JR should give the 15% damage buff to Clive, with here again update priority being the ultimate and not the special, because the special only happens once per fight. And so the ultimate is definitely a priority. So those were pretty much all the most important SRs and what you can use them for. I hope that helped you out, and I wish you a successful summoning session and a beautiful SSR in your next one. If you want to join a bunch of like-minded people, we are, to my knowledge, the fastest growing Silver and Blood community in the entire game. So consider leaving a like or a subscription, or just join the Discord, or tell me to fuck off. Do what you want. We see each other in the next one. Peace!